98.7 FM. Again, we're talking with Slash here. Your new album out April 6th. Solo effort. A lot of collaborations. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. In 2008, in the summertime, got finished with the last Velvet Revolver tour with Scott Weiland, anyway, for the Libertad record. And at that point, I decided, finally, after years and years of being in bands, I really wanted to make a solo, do a solo record, do something where I was the creative motivation for the whole thing, and I didn't have to answer to anybody. I didn't have to have anybody looking over my shoulder, whatever, and just do my own thing. And I had this idea where, because I do a lot of session work and I play with a lot of different people and I write a lot of songs with different people, I thought it'd be great if I did a record where I could get a bunch of people on my record. So at that particular point in time where I thought I was going to do, I decided to do a solo record, I also had a concept for what I wanted to do, so I just went straight to work. And, it was a hell of a lot of fun to do, and I worked with a great producer named Eric Valentine, who we went in and we both were the mindset that we wanted to do an analog, which was really, really cool, because that's where I come from, and so we just, I sent out material to all the different people that I wanted to have sing on the record, and everybody was into it, and we just went bam, 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 and just knocked them all out.
You don't turn down Slash.
Well, all things considered, I think the most important aspect to making this record was in the material that I was writing, making sure that, like when I go, okay, this song sounds like so-and-so, making a good match, so that when I sent the demo to the artist, it was something that they could relate to. And that's really what sort of kept it all sort of moving, is that there was a good understanding of the artist that I was calling, as far as with the material I was sending them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned that you sat down and put together arrangements with somebody in mind. Going back through your career, maybe even all the way to before even Guns N' Roses, did you have stuff in your back pocket that you finally were able to put out?
This was mostly pretty recent stuff. Like when the tour ended and I sat down and got to work, I started really working on stuff that I was writing at the time. And then I had, a little recorder that I'd had out on the road with me with Velvet Revolver, and so I had a bunch of ideas on that. And then there was actually two pieces of music that I originally had written for Velvet Revolver before Scott came into the picture, and they just never got done. But I thought they were really cool ideas. And one of those was the Iggy Pop song, and I always thought that would sound good with Iggy Pop, so here was my chance to go take advantage of that opportunity. And the other one was a song I did with Ian Astbury, which was just a perfect fit. So for the most part, it was new material, but there was a couple songs that came from the early Velvet Revolver days.
And the first single is "By the Sword" that you hooked up with Andrew Stockdale on. That guy's got some pipes.
He's phenomenal. He's really refreshing, because in sort of the rock and roll circles at present, there's not too many guys that are really true blue, like really have some great rock and roll roots and really know their music and have a certain kind of attitude and aptitude for a certain rock and roll style, and Andrew's one of those guys that really has it down and knows exactly why he's doing it and loves it, and it's very cool to see.
So what's next, Slash? You got spring, summer plans, hitting the road?
Yeah, well, we basically start up, we're doing some TV appearances beginning of next month, and then we have some concert dates in the States in May, and then also in May we start touring Europe, and we do that in the summertime, and then Japan and Australia and the States and Canada and hopefully South America.
Now, when you go out on the road on a collaboration album like this, do you invite the artists that you worked with, or how does that work, the schedules?
I have one singer who's doing the actual tour, which is Miles Kennedy, and he was somebody I actually discovered while I was making the record, which was really an important discovery, because that sort of really helped seal how I was going to do this tour. So we're going to tour as a band with him singing, and then whenever we happen to be in a city where somebody who sang on this record happens to be at the same time, then there'll always be open opportunities for guest appearances and all that kind of stuff. So it should be fun.
That's awesome. Do you think it's something you'll want to do again?
I'm not even concerning myself with that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned. I'm just having a good time, just in the present.
Yeah, of course, of course. And I always like to end the session here, the interview here, with the question: when did you know? Was there an event or moment in time that you knew that you wanted to be a musician?
Yeah, I think I was listening to a lot of music and sort of discovering my own sort of musical direction when I was about 13, 14 years old, and I met Steve Adler, who's the original drummer for Guns, and he and I got to be really, really good friends, and he had an electric guitar and an amp at his house, and so when his parents, or his grandparents, he lived with his grandparents would take off to go to work early in the morning, and so we'd get up, pretend like we're going to school, and then go back to his house, and he would just bang on this guitar. He didn't know hardly any chords, but turn it all the way up and just bang. It was really exciting. So we decided to start a band, and I actually was intending to play bass, but I ended up going to this local music school and going, how do you play? How do you play? And the guy was playing Sunshine of Your Love at the time, and I said, that's what I want to do, and that was the guitar part, and so I ended up playing guitar.
Oh, okay. When we were just looking through the Mark Hanner Reckless Road book, where is that Fairfax High shot? Is that from a performance you did out in the...
That was, there's a, and when you go into Fairfax, there is an amphitheater, and that was right there on the amphitheater. And it's funny. No, and I didn't have a singer. That's the story of my life. So I'm looking for singers. So I didn't have a singer, so we did everything instrumental.
That's great.
Yeah, it was cool, though.
I want to ask you this. What was the very first piece of music you / ever bought with your own money?
I can tell you the first piece of music I stole. I
Money? Who needs that?
I didn't have any money. I think the first music that I acquired on my own was I got Steven the Boston cassette for his birthday. And then I got Aerosmith Rocks and Led Zeppelin 1.
Okay.
Those were the first two acquisitions.
Great selections. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Slash. Appreciate you.
No, it's good talking to you.